All right. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 48. We want to thank our previous guest, Tony Yee, a hobby veteran from the Pacific Northwest. It was great to see his collections of Ichiro, Benintendi, Kano, and Baisley, and the bonus box breaks that he did for us live, which we weren't expecting him to do, which was very nice of Tony to do so. We will definitely have Tony back in the future and pick his brain more about the hobby. So now over to Meat with some announcements.
Hey there. Hi, folks. How's it going? So in honor of Black History Month, I want to give a special shout out to Dr. Dean Barnes and Tanya Hampton for providing us two short videos in honor of this month. As you know, Kent and I strive for focus on diversity and inclusivity, and what better way to do that than have some of our two favorite people provide content for us. So I want to thank you guys very much, guys and gals, very much for that. Kent and I will also be giving away 2 copies of the book Hell of a Life in Hockey by the legendary Brian McFarlane. So we had him on, and here's the book. You'll need to comment in the channel or leave a chat message with the answer. Kent and I will figure out during the show what the questions are, and I'll leave Kent to ask the questions because I've forgotten what they are already. So another shout out is for, like I said, I mentioned before, Tanya Hampton did a short video for us, Still I Rise. And I wanted to mention her crew on February 19th at 1 p.m., the Apex Takeover, or Women Watching Live on Clubhouse, will be interviewing Mr. Willie T. Ribbs. He's the first African-American man to have tested a Formula One car and competed in the Indianapolis 500. So please check out their interview. Again, February 19th at 1 p.m. Don't forget to check them out.
Is that 1 p.m. Eastern, I mean?
1 p.m. Eastern. Yes, it's a good thing you mentioned that. For tonight's guest, we're pleased to introduce you a hobby card collector who is based in Seoul, Republic of Korea. He's a collector of baseball cards, and in particular, Hall of Famers. Without further ado, let's welcome George, where it's mid-Wednesday morning over where he is. Hey, George.
Hey, George.
What's up, guys? Yeah, definitely middle of the Wednesday morning. It's 11:02 a.m. and currently 26 degrees Fahrenheit. If anybody's wondering about the weather forecast.
26, what's that like? Just, somebody up there can tell us what that is in Celsius. I'll build it.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You guys need Celsius. Don't worry. I can give you that. So Celsius right now, it's -1.
I'm comfortable at -1. I'm comfortable at
-1 Celsius right now. So
awesome. So we're going to first say hi to a few people who joined our show. So Dennis, welcome back as always. Dennis. And thank you for the Walmart pickups. I'll be bugging you more for that. Bobby Burrell, welcome.
Hello,
How are you
Bobby.
doing? And Bobby is our resident hockey historian and a wealth of knowledge, so glad to have you here. Rob Lee, you're always checking us out. Thank you very much. And you're questioning yourself or asking your own question, saying hi, Dennis, Bobby, and Rob to the show. So there you go.
Yeah, I was just commenting.
And Tony, hey Tony.
Hello, Tony.
Sorry, go ahead, Kent.
No, I was just saying hi, Tony.
He said, Tony's Hobby Ball. Hey, I'm meeting Kent. George, I paused 90-day fiance. Sorry, what?
Oh, yeah.
To see you all live. To see us all live.
Yeah.
Would he paused his fiance? I don't understand what that. Maybe I'm.
It's a show, 90-day fiance. Come on, man.
I didn't know that. I don't watch TV, man. I won't disappoint you, Tony.
You don't get enough. You don't get enough of those like tweets from Tony. Then that's the problem.
Well, Kent's our Twitter guy because I'm not on Twitter. So Kent does.
You're not on Twitter.
I'm Instagram.
Well, I did hear that you are an artist. And
I am. Yes, so I do some artwork. Maybe later on I'll show you what I have. So
that's awesome. Yeah. Well, you're looking at some of mine behind me there. I'm not an artist, though. I'm not an artist. That's just me messing around.
Speaking of George, can you show what Tony sent you?
Yeah, so Tony sent me the wrapper. It's like what's on the wall back there behind me.
You know, if you hold it up and tilt it to the right, you almost have like a 1-to-1. Just hold it up.
Yep.
And you got it backwards, and then that way up, and there you go. See, there's a 1-to-1 representation right behind it. Yeah, and then you turn it down. There's the card. So that speaks to Tony's generosity. He's sending things to Korea, so you can just tell what kind of person he is. He's awesome for doing that. And Sanderson to Aura, welcome to the show, Eric.
Hey, Eric.
All right, so let's get into some questions. So, George, Give us a little background on how old were you when you got into collecting cards, and was it through a family member you collected cards? Like, how did that bug start for you?
Yeah, so I guess I started collecting when I was probably around, would have been about 7 years old. Um, and basically, I got into it because I was playing baseball. Like I played baseball, I loved it, and you know that was just my t-ball, little league, those types of things. I was like 6, 7, 8 years old, um, and then my mom and dad would always just talk about like old baseball players. Like neither one of them collected, um, but they would talk about old baseball players and because I was playing baseball, and then they would sometimes talk about like when they were kids, getting cards and basically chewing the bubble gum and throwing the cards away because they were buying it for the bubble gum and not the cards, and that kind of stuff, because they said, they'd go down to the little pharmacy or whatever and get like a few packs for like, a few cents or however much they were spending back then just to get bubble gum, and they didn't care about the cards. So, and then I guess just basically from that, when I would go shopping with my mom, when I was younger, like at some of the local stores, they would just have boxes, because this was realized like 87, 86, 87, 88. It was the junk wax era. So they're just boxes sitting right there beside the cash register, beside the little candy rack. And, she would reminisce about buying cards and getting gum, and I would just get some occasionally. Like, be like, oh, will you buy me these? And okay, she'd buy them. So that's kind of how I got into it. So there was I guess just basically my mom and dad talking about when they were kids and gum and cards. So, and,
Awesome.
and I did get out of collecting as well. Like I collected until I was around 14. Well, until I was about 15. So I collected for about 7 years, 8 years. And then I got out of it and then got back into it here in Korea. So
You got back. Oh, that's a good segue to our next question. So, what's it like to be a collector of sports cards in Korea?
oh man, like it's different. Because you don't really have the access to stuff. And when I say you don't have the access, yes, you've got the internet, right? So you've got eBay, you've got ComC, you've got all of that stuff, which everybody around the world uses. But even though you have that, it's still not that easy, because you either have to have someone handle the stuff in the middle, or you have to pay a lot to get it to you, or you have to wait a super long time. Like, so it's it's a bit different of an experience than say guys in the US or someplace where there's a big community of it and they've got their hobby shops they can go to. They've got, and we have hobby shops here. That's not what I'm getting at, but they have the hobby shops they can go to. They can order a card on eBay, and if shipping isn't terrible at the time, they'll get it in a few days, right? And they'll get it in a few days for like a few dollars shipping. Whereas we would have to wait weeks or months, or however, depending on how we handle that, right? So it definitely has its challenges. And you don't get as much, like, I guess maybe you don't have as many deals, so to speak, as you do in the US, because your options are kind of limited, right? You're limited on what you can find and things like that. So,
What
and I
about
guess,
from an exchange rate point of view? Do you ever get kind of hampered on that too?
yeah, definitely. So, and that's one of the big things that we deal with here, like in the hobby shops, because the exchange rate just basically, it marks it up a lot. I mean, essentially, we think of the exchange rate as and I say $1, but it's not dollars, but it's 1,000 is like essentially the Korean dollar is like the
Mhm.
unit. It's essentially like 1,000. So we kind of think like 1,000 equals $1, but that's not really the truth. Like basically 1,200 equals $1. So that's like a 20% difference, really, like when you get down to it. And as a result, like that adds, 10, 15, 20% onto the end of it every time. So it does get a good bit more expensive. So.
Yeah, I guess you can't really ship it to yourself back home because you don't get to enjoy it. So there's that too.
Right. Well, that's the thing. And that's what I said. It kind of makes it difficult because, like, you can do stuff like that. And I have done stuff like that. But the thing is, it's just like, you may end up waiting,
For sure. Yeah.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got cards right now that have been at my mom's house for over, almost 3 years now. And they're just there that
You haven't
that
seen?
that I haven't seen. Like, not a lot, because the thing is, like, I basically, I usually just try to do things so that I can get it directly because I don't want to bother people with like being a middle person and stuff.
Sure.
Especially like my mom because she's old. Like she doesn't get around well and things like that. I don't want to bother her with trying to deal with that stuff. So it's I mean, so it can be a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, for sure. Sure. So you're also a big, it's tell by the hat, you're a very big St. Louis Cardinals fan.
Mhm.
And you collect MLB Hall of Famer autograph cards. So, and Kent
Right.
is very familiar with the Hall of Fame chase. As at
Right.
one point, I think you had 193 of 323 total baseball
Yeah.
player
So
autos?
whatever the total amount was in 2018, I had 193 different Hall of Fame autos.
Yeah,
Nice.
crazy, crazy.
More
So,
than I have. because I just switched my focus to things like that recently. So so yeah. Actually talking about it, I've got some right there. You can see that's a Tom Glavine, but it's clear.
yeah,
And then behind it's a Lou Brock. And then there's a Tony Oliva on the back. These are actually going to be sent in to be slabbed, to
Oh, nice.
not graded, slabbed. So there's a
we're gonna
company
get into
here
that.
that
Yeah, we're
that
gonna get
will
into that
slab
too.
cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how many do you have in your collection of the Hall of Famer and Cardinals?
Hall of Famers? I don't know. Maybe 30. Like maybe like 30 autographs.
Yeah.
Like
That's a pretty good start. That's decent.
yeah. Well, the thing is, a lot of them are Cardinals. So
That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
So I guess we're fortunate in the fact that there are a lot of Cardinals Hall of Famers. So
Speaking of Cardinals, there.
oh, nice, Stan Musial. That is definitely my guy right there. There's a. If I just reach behind me, there's one of my favorite Stan Musials right
beauty.
there. So the 53 Bowen, and then there's a 52 Wheaties right there. So yeah, like I've actually been reading one of the many Stan Musial books actually. So here recently, but yeah, I don't know. I think I've got maybe around 30-ish Hall of Fame autographs, and I just started doing that because I sort of wanted to. I don't know. I sort of wanted to move into vintage, and I think that's kind of what got me. That's part of what got me moving into that direction was, basically I was moving into vintage, and as I was moving into vintage, I was like, well, I just kind of makes sense that I move into Hall of Fame autographs and things like that. There's a Bob Gibson right there, just
Beauty.
sitting on my desk.
Nice, Bob.
So,
Nice, Bob Gibson.
that was my first Bob Gibson autograph right there. Traded one of my friends here in Korea for that, actually. So
That's actually kind of really cool, and we're going to get into that as well. But I think Kent, your turn for questions.
So now that we're on the St. Louis Cardinals theme, George, can you share with us some of your favorite St. Louis Cardinals players and why you collect them? Like what is it about these particular players that you collect them?
Yeah. So, all right. So Bob Gibson, like, I can show you right over here. So sort of like Bob Gibson. So this is essentially his player run right here, kind of. This isn't all of it, but this is like the base type stuff.
That's
And,
nice
and I
vintage.
have,
That's nice vintage right there, man.
oh yeah. So, and because I was a pitcher, like that's what I played when I played baseball. I was a pitcher. So I just loved pitching and I loved throwing hard, throwing fastballs like I think most any kid. And that's what Bob Gibson did, you know. Um, and so when I got into collecting, vintage, um, basically that sort of got me into collecting Bob Gibson. Now, before collecting Bob Gibson, like because I actually didn't start PCing like a player collection of anybody
Hmm.
in general
Hmm.
until 2018, and that was Jack Flaherty. Okay, and it was Jack
Another
Flaherty.
card.
Yeah, and it was Jack Flaherty because he was a pitcher, and he was their hot new rookie pitcher. So I was collecting him, and then I was like, well, I kind of want to go to vintage, so I should also collect someone vintage. So I went with Bob Gibson. So, and then basically that's how I got into Bob Gibson. So from Bob Gibson, um, I got into collecting Stan Musial because, like, one of the greatest baseball players ever that sort of goes unrecognized and unnoticed, and it's because of his lack of controversy. Like he wasn't a controversial guy. He
No.
just he just went out and did his job, was nice to the fans. Like that was the thing. He was nice to the fans. He was nice to the press or whatever. Like he was just a very open guy, an inviting guy. So there wasn't controversy. So it's kind of like that. And then of course, now this is Angels, but I picked this up the other day, but Albert Pujols.
Yeah.
So Pujols, because he's one of the here's another Pujols right there.
Nice.
One of the current generation type guys that's definitely going to be a Hall of Famer. And that's something that I also try to do. I've started to shape my collection more around who's going to be a Hall of Famer
Hmm.
and focus on those guys. Like Pujols is going to be a Hall of Famer. Okay. Yadi Molina is going to be a Hall of Famer.
Yep, that's true.
Yadi
Yep.
Molina. So it's sort of like I collect guys that I sort of know or have a feeling are going to be Hall of Famers that are Cardinals. So that's kind of the way I go at it. Now I take all Cardinals. Like I've got tons and tons of Cardinals that aren't Hall of Famers, but they just sort of that's just sort of what I generally focus on. And going beyond that, like on the wall back there, you see there the paintings of the players. Those are all Korean baseball players. So I got back into collecting with Korean cards.
Nice.
Nice. By the way, are you wearing a Bob Gibson shirt?
No, I'm not. But it is. Well, there's the 1961 Bob Gibson, and this is a 1961 Topps shirt. It's just 1961 Topps.
Where did you find that?
At a little clothes shop here in Korea.
Get out, really?
Yeah. And so there was all right. So there's a town called Uijeongbu, which is where there's a large U.S. military presence.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And my friend used to live there. And his wife was out shopping one day. She stopped by this little, not a very big, clothing shop.
Yeah.
And she saw this shirt on the rack. Well, she took a photo of it and immediately sent it to me because she knew that I collected baseball cards.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was like, oh crap. And this was maybe like this was like a Thursday maybe. And I was like, okay, so I've got to have that. I said, look, I said, I'm not sure if it'll fit or not, so I don't want you to buy it. I was like, but I will be there on Saturday. I was like, I'll come and visit for the weekend because I live about an hour and a half from there. So I drove over on Saturday just to meet them and buy this shirt. And I did. So, and when I posted it online, I posted it on Twitter. I want to say that it got something like, 100 likes and something and whatever. And everybody was sending me messages. Get me one, get me one, get me one. And I got my friend's wife to go back and ask if they had more. And this was the only one they had because I was going to buy them all. I was going to buy the entire lot and just send them to the U.S. and just resell them because everybody was wanting one.
Well, you got a one of one then.
Yeah, I do have one of one. This is my card show shirt whenever we do have card shows. You're talking about 61 tops.
That's a great idea. When I looked at your shirt, I'm like, it looks like a bunch of baseball cards. I've got to ask about that shirt.
It is. If you look, there's a 61 tops and there's a 63 tops.
Yeah.
Same photo, right?
It is the same photo.
Just a little bit of different coloring on it, So, but yeah. In case anyone ever wondered, 61 and 63 tops, Bob Gibson are the same photo. So
that's hilarious. I did not even know
that. Can't I lost place of where we are.
Still me. So George, being in Korea, as for many years that you have been there, Korea is also known for their baseball teams. So do you have a favorite team, and have you been to watch any of the Korean baseball games?
Oh yeah, of course. That's like I said, if you you can kind of see over to the side. There's like a little banner looking thing.
Yeah,
that's just all Korean baseball stuff. Yeah, that's Dan right there. But yeah, so and then of course, like if you look at the paintings behind, there's one of Michael Bowden. He's got his arms up in the air.
Yeah,
super nice guy, great guy. He was with the Boston Red Sox and the Cubs and different teams like that. But actually, that painting is from him throwing his no-hitter, which I was in the stands for.
Oh, wow. You got to see that game.
Yeah, I got to see it. And I was so drunk that I got on the subway going the wrong way and missed my bus home. And because I don't live in Seoul. I live about an hour outside of Seoul. But my bus is my final bus is at 10 p.m. I guess roughly, and so the game finished up right around a little after 9, and I had to I think it finished around 9:30, and the bus terminal is about 15 minutes from the stadium to the bus terminal, and I was drunk and excited and everything, so I run down and I hop on the subway at the end of the game, and just got on going the wrong way, going the opposite direction.
Where did you end up before you realized you were going the wrong way?
Oh well, that was the thing. So basically, it's like 4 stops, or sorry, it's 3 stops from the baseball stadium to the terminal. So we do 1 stop, and then we do a second stop, and then we do the 3rd stop, and I'm getting ready to get off to go to the bus, and I just hear them announce what stop it is, and I'm like, oh crap! I'm like, I went the wrong way. So I got off at that stop, went over to the other side, and started heading back, and I was like, I'm not going to make it. So I just stopped midways along there and just got a hotel room for the night, and just got up and took a 5 o'clock bus the next morning. So it happens. But yeah, definitely a big Korean fan, KBO fan. Doosan Bears is my favorite team. So of course he's with Doosan Bears. And then some of the other ones around it, you see Hwang Jae-gyun, which is under the 53 tops there. Yeah. He plays with the KT Wiz. He was with the Lotte Giants. He played for San Francisco. So he was one of the players that went into went to MLB, and then of course in the middle up top, that's Lee Sung Yup, who's the home run king here and everything, and basically Dan Korean Cardboard that you saw in the comments, that's who he collects, and he's a Samsung Lions fan. I'm a Doosan Bears fan.
Nice.
Then the green one over there, yeah, that is a Park Gun-woo, and he was with the Doosan Bears, but he's no longer with the Doosan Bears. He just got traded this year to he just signed with a new team this year, the NC Dinos. And then over there on the other side of it in red, that is Kang Baek Ho, and he's basically this young studly guy, like 18-year-old, won the Rookie of the Year and stuff. Hits the ball really hard, really far, and yeah, I like him, as a collector and stuff. So, and then actually, it's kind of funny. I've got some Lee Sung Yup cards right here on my desk in front of me. Wasn't because of the video. It wasn't because we were going to be live. It was just that I had these out because I wanted to get them slabbed. So,
right.
At some point. So, yeah.
So, is there a big difference between how the game of baseball is played there in Korea versus like the major leagues?
I mean, I don't know that. So I guess coming at it from a spectator.
Right. Yes.
Like it's much more exciting in the stands. Like it's a lot of fun with the singing and dancing and all that. As a spectator, it's also a good cheap experience. Kind of, when I say cheap, these days it's not as cheap, but at the same time, like you can go get and we're talking pre-pandemic. So pandemic basically has changed a lot of it, like in terms of in the stands.
Okay.
Like you can't eat in your seats, you can't drink in your seats and all that. So you can't dance like you could. Like it took away a lot of that. But that will eventually come back.
Right.
So that's a big difference. When it comes to play, like it's basically a lot like what you would see in AAA play. You'll see a decent. You'll see, I saw what Dan said. Quality of defense is the biggest difference talent-wise. Yeah, that's the thing. You'll see a lot more mistakes and things like that. And he's talking about his Samsung season tickets were $700 for the season.
Oh man, that's
pretty decent.
That's like the cost of half a seat in a hockey game here.
Right. So definitely as a fan, it's good, like fairly cheap entertainment. It is a lot of fun in the stands when there aren't the restrictions. On the field, there isn't as much defense, which leads to a lot more high scoring games.
Oh, okay.
Because it seems like everybody here bats 300. Like it seriously seems like everybody hits 300 in this league. It's just a high offense league. Like, a lot of, and of course it's not true. Not everybody hits 300. There are a lot that are down there in the low 200s and stuff. It's just that, the league is so small because it's only 10 teams. And as a result, you get to know like the few superstars on each team really well. And they do always hit like 300. So as a result, It kind of gives you that false impression that everybody's hitting 300. But yeah.
Oh, Dan's got a question for you there.
Yeah, let's see. He's talking about make sure to mention Team Joke Ball. Yeah. So that was the thing. Like basically, so you asked about me being into Korean baseball. Well, me and a couple of friends, we actually were doing a charity thing at one time where we were basically meeting these different players and getting all kinds of game used, stuff like signed bats, signed batting gloves, signed uniforms, like everything, signed hats, signed shoes. And basically all of the money was going to orphanages here in Korea. So, and we were auctioning it off, and like some of it went into actual. I'm friends with one of the cheermasters here, which is kind of like the MC. So he's the guy that's on the microphone that leads the cheerleading.
Okay.
And so I'm friends with him. And so we participated in some of their their auctions where like basically all of the teams cheerleaders get together and they have these auction events. And we auctioned some of the stuff that we had gotten as donations. And then we did some of the auctions like on our own. And then we did some direct sales, stuff like that. And we haven't done anything since COVID because, like I said, once again, that kind of it put a damper on all that. You couldn't really meet people. You couldn't go out and do things. But the last things that we did were kind of like some raffles. So we would basically, we had a few uniforms that we had gotten signed from some of the players, and we would just basically tell the people like, $5, your name will go into the hat, and basically the people would send the money directly to the orphanage. So
nice.
That's the unique thing about here in Korea. Korea works on a banking system where I can give you my account number and it means nothing because you can't do anything with it other than give me money. So kind of like everybody has everybody's account numbers. So we just give the people the orphanage account number and say like, here's the orphanage account number. Transfer the money, send us a screenshot of your receipt. And we'll enter you for that many spots in the random drawing. And that's what we did. So somebody would send like $15. Well, then they would screenshot their receipt, or they could do it from the ATM also. Someone would take like a photo of their receipt and they would send it to us and we'd say, okay, so $15. Okay. That's 3 spots. We would enter them in 3 times. And we had all this set like to a certain date, like here was the start, here was the end. And then we would just go live and just do a drawing. And whoever came out on top got the uniforms.
That's awesome. That's very cool.
Definitely different than here. Yeah.
And we were able to raise like, I mean, I don't know, like we only did it for 2 seasons because we did it for 2 seasons. We raised right around $5,000 over 2 seasons. So, yeah.
Still, every bit counts, right?
Yep, exactly. So that's what we did.
I want to ask you. Well, I'll first start off with baseball. I wanted to ask you about hockey. We'll talk about baseball. So, what's it like to collect like Korean? Are there such thing as Korean baseball cards or Japanese baseball cards? Like, what are they compared to like North American sports?
Yeah. So that's like I said, that's what I've got here in front of me. Like these right here are leasing up. These were actually from the stadium. These were stadium cards.
So those stadium giveaways, or you buy them at the stadium? How's that work?
No, they were stadium giveaways because this was during his retirement. So they did like a 5-card set. Like each day was a different card commemorating a different hit or whatever. And so these were given away at the stadium. So I was at a couple of the games. So I had some of the cards from going to the games. These right here were some promos from 1999. And then here's like a telephone card. Yeah. So just a telephone card. Like, I don't know. Let me turn around and look. I don't see.
You know what I like is I love asking collectors to look for stuff because they're literally like this. Yeah, I got.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like I have to turn around and look because I've got a row of stuff back here behind me, And some of it is KBO stuff. Some of it isn't KBO stuff. Like, I don't know. Here's a stack. So this is actually all Lee Sung-yup, basically. Or not all of it, but a lot of it. There's a Japanese card right there of his.
Oh, okay.
Because he played in Japan as well. There's some more Japanese. But then this right here, so it's kind of funny. So the guy right here that you see that's wearing number 22,
okay,
that's Hong Sung-un. So he's actually one of my favorite. Right here, here's one of his cards, autographed. So these are Korean game cards, but they were pack issued. So here are some Korean cards like that were all pack issued. So yeah, like more Korean cards right here.
George, what's their quality like when it comes to cards there?
So that's the thing. So like their cards. So like this, you look at this, you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, pretty good design. It's shiny, it's nice. It's, it's all of that. Then let me find some. I've got so much stuff here. I'm just gonna have to dig.
Like every collector.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to dig through and find some. So you have that. Oh, here's an acetate card. So
interesting.
Like yeah, so anyway, so you're looking at these and you're like, oh wow, those aren't bad. They're pretty good. And that's one of my favorite ones right there as well. Dan knows what's coming.
Oh, Dan knows what's coming? Okay.
Yeah. So you look at this and you're like, oh yeah, that's not, it's kind of simple, whatever. Then you turn it over and there's nothing. Just nothing on the back. Yeah. It's just a logo. So they basically had some cards that were like that. See, they had some that had like a lot of stuff and a lot of info and stuff, and then they've got some that are like that. And as Dan said, the most recent Golden Premium sets have some great designs. So the designs are pretty good here. One of the issues that you often run into with Korean cards is I don't know how they're cut, like what they're using to cut them with, but you do get a lot of like, chipping and stuff around.
Yeah, sure.
So the edges are kind of rough, kind of, I don't know, I guess you'd equate them to like O-Peachy back in the day or something. Right? They got kind of rough edges.
I love that you reference O-Peachy, okay? Because normally you would say, as an American, you would say tops, but you said O-Peachy, so there's Canadian in there somewhere.
Yeah. So, well, like, because I got some Canadian friends that I joke around with. I'm like, what did they cut those cards with? Like, did they pull out like an ice skate? They're out there with a little hockey skate, like chipping away on the things, trying to cut them out or something. So
you'd think that with the Wayne Gretzky rookie year, that's for sure.
Right, exactly. So yeah, so that's the thing. It's like there are a lot of like great designs. Sometimes the quality is a bit off, like on the cutting and things like that. So a lot of the cards don't grade high. Like there are people that send them to get graded, and a lot of times they come back like 7s and 8s.
Interesting.
Like PSA grading?
Yeah. You get a lot of like 7s and 8s and stuff like that. Off of stuff that just straight came out of the pack that looks good. Like it looks good. You're like, oh, it's pretty well centered and all that. And then it just comes back, not in such good shape.
By the way, our friend Jeremy loves your shirt. We do too. We noticed it.
Yeah, I figured Jeremy would like that shirt for sure.
Yeah, Jeremy and I would wear that shirt. I know that.
Jeremy has a lot of unique collector shirts
But this one, I have to say, if you could make that shirt, I would buy it. That would be when I saw it right away. I was like, I knew I had to ask you about it.
And here's the thing. I'll let everybody in on a little secret on this shirt. So this shirt right here, like I said, bought it in this shop in Weijingbu.
Yeah.
It was actually a women's clothing shop, so this is a women's shirt. But,
Oh,
can you imagine some Korean lady wearing this around? I don't know.
I don't know if too many women would be wearing what is that, 54? What year was that? 54 tops?
61.
61 tops shirt.
Yeah. Right.
I just want to know. I'm just in my mind when I hear stuff like that. I just want to know what the backstory is. Like this guy had leftover fabric. Like I think ladies will want a 61 top shirt and just put it together, right? Like it's one of those unique, rare finds that it's just unbelievable.
There's a couple comments here from Dan. So Dan said, the etching inserts in the most recent set might be my favorite card design of all time for KBO cards. And then he said, I was able to get PSA 8s and 9s on those Lee Stadium giveaways.
Right.
And then the other comment was, Ojambu is also where the TV show MASH was set. I did not
that's
know that.
cool.
Yeah.
That's really
cool.
That's a piece of unique trivia there.
Yeah, so he's talking about getting 8s and 9s on these. These definitely aren't going to get 8s and 9s when they get graded because they're all scratched up. The surfaces are absolutely horrible on them because these have been pocketed and stuff, like, down in the pockets and were unprotected and all of that. So,
well, especially when you take the bus the wrong way, you never know what card ended up.
Exactly.
So, what are the top sports in Korea right now? Would you say baseball's got to be up there, but what else is up there? Is hockey up there?
Collecting wise, but when people collect cards there.
Yeah, collecting
wise, basketball is number one.
Yeah. Okay. Basketball.
By a lot. It's not even close with anything else. Like you pop up like any of the Korean forums to look and see what people are selling. It's all basketball practically. And when I say all basketball, I'm exaggerating that by a bit, but I would say it probably is at least 60% basketball. And then there's probably 30% baseball, but that's sort of divided a bit. Like where the majority of it's MLB, but there is a bit of KBO. KBO has made a bit of a comeback in terms of that. And that's because they've basically started developing hit-based type products.
Where
it's more autographs, relics, and stuff like that. So you have a lot of people that are getting into it for the money aspect of it. And that's what I was about to get to. So basketball is most popular. Baseball is second most popular. Baseball is second most popular. Soccer is actually really popular as well. I don't know. Let me think. Probably say about 50%. I would say 50% basketball, 25% baseball, 25% soccer. And then there's just a slight bit of hockey and football. Like slight.
But there is a chance.
There is a chance.
There is a chance. I have bought one box of hockey cards here in Korea. So and I had no idea what I was.
There's hope over there.
Yeah, there is hope. There's hope. There's Korean. There's a KHL, Korean Hockey League, and they compete with the Continental. Anyways, whatever.
Yeah, there is. There are hockey teams here. They have their little league here. I haven't made it to any of their games, but eventually I would like to go. So
you'll have to let me know. You have to tweet to Kenton, and Kenton let me know.
Exactly. I will.
So when it comes to card collecting, like you already mentioned that you purchase kind of everywhere, right? Yep. You mentioned the challenges you have, but what are the challenges from a trading perspective? Like I understand the financial aspect of buying and selling, that kind of stuff, but finding local communities around you of collectors, how difficult is that?
It's not difficult to find people that collect here, because of the forums. So they're called cafes here, like these. They're on Naver, and they're called cafes. They're just online forums. where people go in and post about sports cards. So it's actually really easy to find other people to collect because of that. But here's the thing: people here don't trade.
Really?
They just sell. They just
Interesting.
sell. And
They don't trade.
Is that a
Huh.
cultural thing?
What's that?
Is that a cultural thing?
No, I don't think it's a cultural thing. I think it's actually more a I think it's more of the way they collect. So, like I've had conversations with a lot of the like some of the card shops and stuff here, and a lot of people are like they collect, but their collection's more for an alternative asset
Yes.
or
yes.
or more for gambling. So they like it for the money aspects.
Mm.
So they don't want to trade because they don't really care. They don't really have any cards that they care if they had or didn't have. They just care about the money aspect tied to it a lot of times. So
Interesting.
Yeah. And it's
And-
true.
and-
Like, I mean, I can relate. Like, I have difficulty trading because I can't compute the trade value versus as much as if I'm selling you this card, I've made this much on it. Like, I can compute that way. But there are some people who are really good at, well, they see my issue is remembering what I put into the card, and when I'm trading it, I just don't work well with that. It's just the mindset.
yeah. And
Sorry, there was a question I wanted to ask you. I forgot what it was. It'll come to me, but it had to do with trading. But we can talk about that in a second.
right.
So, as some of you may know, you do some YouTube videos. So you did show. I haven't seen this, but Kent has. I want you to talk about the video of the unmanned 24/7 local hobby shop in Korea and how it's literally hobby boxes wall to wall, and you go to a vending machine style where you go and buy it.
Yep.
But explain, like Kent was mentioning that you can like go in and break the box alone at a table.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
just explain this. I'm just completely like floored. Just please explain it.
Right. So basically there's this shop in Seoul that has it's kind of like these little lockers
Yeah.
that you might find in a subway station or a bus station or something like that. It's essentially like these lockers. But they've got like a clear plexiglass so you can see inside of it. And first off, when you get there, the door is locked. And you call or message, there's the phone number of the owner on the door. So you call or message him, and he will unlock the door remotely. Because that's the thing, like here, and Dan can tell you that, like all of our locks here are electronic. Like it's just all electronic locks, and you can get them. You can get like the ones where you can only type in. You can get the ones where you can type in or have a key card. You can get the ones where you can type in, have a key card, and remote unlock. There are so many different combinations. But so anyway, he'll remotely unlock the door, and then you just go in. And then when you get in, you see all of these lockers with just hobby boxes and packs and stuff like that. And you basically, whatever you want, like it's got a number on it. So like say it's locker number 15 and you want that hobby box. Well, you go over and there's a little pad there. You type in number 15, it'll tell you the price. You swipe your card, the door pops open. You grab your box and just open it. So and there's a lot there are cameras everywhere, and like I said, and the guy, like you have to actually contact him to get in. So he's aware of what's going on. So could people break it, or could people go in and like steal stuff? Yes, they could, but you're watched, and they've got your phone number because you've had to call them.
Right,
like there's
right.
so many ways that like it discourages people from like, trying to steal the stuff. So
What I found fascinating about that video is that there's boxes and boxes of people not wanting commons and singles, and they just toss it in this box.
oh yeah, the box beside the table where they just throw them in there. Like So, like I said, like I was talking about earlier, like a lot of the culture here when it comes to collecting or is, you know, I wouldn't call it so much collecting as I would gambling. So in Korea, gambling is illegal, essentially.
Okay.
And when I say illegal, I mean it's essentially illegal for Koreans. So there's only one casino in the entire country where Koreans can go gamble. There are multiple casinos in the country, but they're all for foreigners only. There's
Oh,
Okay.
only one. There's only one in Korea where Koreans can gamble. And even depending on how close around that casino you live, you may not be able to gamble. So if you live within, say, like a 45-minute radius of that casino, they won't allow you in. And it's because of like a lot of people were getting into a lot of debt, and they were committing suicide and all this kind of stuff. So anyway, so opening hobby boxes is kind of like a way to gamble. You go in, you drop $300 on the counter, you get a box, and you hit something worth $5,000, or you walk away with nothing, essentially. And that's the way a lot of times they treat it here. So,
and hence that's why they don't want the commons or the singles. They just want the hits.
yeah, they don't want the commons or singles, they just want the hits. So
Interesting. But it's like, it's just so bizarre to me because half the experience of walking into a hobby shop is you want to talk to the dude behind the counter, right? You want to talk to him and say, hey, what's going on? You want to talk to other collectors. If it was a shop that was just like a vending machine, I would just buy wax online and have it shipped to my house. I wouldn't even bother going. It's just like it's completely off topic, but I'll mention it anyway. There is a restaurant called Ghost Kitchen, which is just on the other side of my street.
Right.
It's a vending restaurant. So it's got menu from very popular restaurants where every day they go and get food.
Right.
And you can go and use a credit card. It's like a vending machine, and you can take like that food with you. It's the facade, right? There's no restaurant. It's just a vending machine. They reminded me of those old hospital vending machines.
Yeah, we've got similar. We've got meal kit places here. So like I eat a lot out of meal kit places. So these are places that are open 24/7. You just walk inside. There are these freezer doors. And when I say meal kit, like the stuff is actually fresh. Like so there's a person that owns the stuff that will put together, like they'll chop all the vegetables and all that and portion them out and put them in. And then you just go in and you buy this stuff. There's nobody there. You just go in, open up the freezer, scan it, pay for it, walk out, cook it at your house. So yeah, like I know that's not exactly the same, but there's a lot of the no contact type stuff here.
This is really interesting.
Very interesting. But I mean, like it's just interesting.
Right.
We'll come back to that in a second, but I just realized we've been talking for almost an hour and we haven't even gotten halfway through our list of questions. So
go for it.
I want to talk to you about your channel. So you have your own channel called KBO Collections. It's hit a milestone last week. So last month, why don't you tell us about that milestone and what are your thoughts on the achievement?
Oh yeah. Well, I think what did I say my milestone was? I hit like 30,000
views. 30,000 views.
Yeah. 30,000 views. It only took me since 2014, I think, is when I started the channel. So, like however many years. I think it was 2014. Only took me that long to hit 30,000 views. Some people are doing that in like 10 minutes, but hey, whatever. No, I just do it. Like I'm not always consistent with it. I'll take months off at a time. I'll take weeks off. I'll take months off. I'll even take years off. I just do it at times. It depends on my schedule and what I feel like doing. Like I've made a few videos, but I haven't done anything like the last week and a half because I just haven't really felt like it. And it's because I've been focused on other things. I went out and I met my friends this past weekend. We hung out. I went out and met some other people here in town. So it just depends. Like I get busy, and I'm just like I don't want to think about it, you know. And that's good because I think if I always just create content, it becomes more like a job for me, and I don't
Mm.
want it to be like a job. I want to do it for the heck of it. I want to do it to be fun, you know, not for anything. But yeah, and in terms of the channel, I mean, like it's kind of funny. I was doing it like when I got back into like doing a lot of videos, I started doing it because I was driving to work and I was bored in the mornings.
Yeah.
So I would put the camera on my holder and I would just talk about something random from that I'd seen on Twitter or whatever. And on the way to work, I would just drive to work and just talk about something.
And sent your stories that were called the Hobby Drive.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
hobby
they're
drive.
called the hobby drive. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I haven't done the hobby drive in a while because I haven't been going to work. This coming year, like you know, once I get back to work, I'll start doing some more again. It's just, you know, it's like when I'm not at work, I'm not driving. I'm just walking places or whatever. So, you know, but
Yeah, I'm actually looking at your channel now. I'm trying to try and find that video of the hobby shop, but I'll look for that later.
yeah,
Um,
it's the 24/7 unmanned shop. Yeah, it's somewhere way back. It's way back. It's I don't remember exactly where, but
I can find you the link later,
while,
if you
while Kent's asking questions, I'll go look. Go ahead, Kent. It's your turn, buddy.
Okay, so you already touched upon that question, so I'll skip over that one. So I saw that you've also dabbled with Korean Pokemon cards, which I didn't even know there was a Korean version.
yeah,
Is there much of a difference between the traditional Pokemon cards versus the Korean ones, or is it just the language that's printed on them?
just
So
the language that's printed on them.
Can you
Like
show that again, George?
here,
Just
yeah, yeah.
there you go.
Here's some of them right here. Yeah, the artwork and everything looks the same. The design looks the same. It's just a difference in the language printed on them. The backs look the same. So unlike the Japanese ones, they have the gold, but ours are the blue that look like the American versions or whatever.
Oh,
But
okay.
but it's just yeah, it's written in Korean, like everything on it. So
Now, is because they're written in Korean, George, is there more of a rarity there in terms of collectability, or not really?
not currently, I don't think so. I don't think so. Like basically, um, it's let's see. I was just looking at what Dan said.
Yeah, I'm just going to
Um,
bring up a couple things that Dan brought up. In
yeah,
2015, 3 Samsung players were suspended for gambling in Macau and missed the Korean series. That's interesting. And then
yeah,
to your point here, I've heard that the Pokemon Korean stock isn't as good as US and Japanese. Unsure if that's true. And then he said, I don't think so.
yeah. Like that's so. Dan's heard the same stuff that I have. Yeah, like some people say like, oh, they aren't as good. Like the quality isn't as good of the stock and all that. But I don't really know that it's any different. I just think maybe it's just yeah. I like the Korean Pokemon stuff is just newer. Like it hasn't been around as long. So I think that's kind of maybe where it's at. It's just the fact that it's a newer type thing. Like it doesn't go back as far as say
Right.
the US and Japan.
But it's cool. It's cool to know that there is a regional variation there. I wasn't even aware of that.
Oh yeah, and I collect. So I only collect. Like I'll stand up for just a minute and grab something off of the shelf.
Dan was saying that both you, yourself and Dan collect Pokemon for the shiny art cards.
Yeah, so that's yeah. So here we go. So that's what I was gonna show. Yeah, basically, I only just only the shiny art stuff. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
So yeah, there we go.
By the way, I found the video so we can show after.
But oh, let's see here. Sorry, hold on. What do we have?
No worries.
What do we have? I've got I'm getting calls, I'm getting deliveries, I'm getting all kinds of stuff. My phone's just going on.
Deliveries.
Yeah. Let's see. What did I get delivered? Oh, my hiking poles have come in. I do a lot of hiking, so I had to order some new hiking poles because I broke one the other day. So
Oh, nice.
yeah.
So while
So
Dan, are you still showing up? Sorry, Dan. I'm sorry. I keep saying Dan because he's in the comments.
Yeah.
George, I have the video. I'm just going to do a quick show.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Let me just do that real quick.
Yeah.
Let's see if this works.
I know sometimes navigating, getting stuff to all share and everything, right?
Let's see. So, can you see my screen? Not yet.
Yeah, there we go.
It's coming up.
Okay. So, this is the video of the hobby shop.
Right.
And
Machines, things like that with all different kinds of cards. Got archives. Got some Japanese cards up here. All of the stuff. Hoops basketball. Prism blasters. Prism hobby boxes. Got some old stuff. Some old Prism. Old Topps Fire football. Got some Donruss Leaf Limited. So, yeah. And then basically in the shop, whatever you get or whatever you want to get, you pick it out, get the number, type it in here, then just pay. We're a little bit on a delay, I think, right? And then you've got the cards. So
Yes.
Then one more thing that you have, got a little gaming area here, TV, things like that, fridge, coffee. Then he's got a little singles room back in here, so and things like that. You know, different things.
See, there's
here's the box.
boxes of common that nobody wants.
Yep. These cards here in the boxes, they aren't all his. In terms of like from breaking, a lot of times people come in, buy a product, open the box, and then decide, you know, like, oh, they just want the hits. And it's just kind of like a little donation box, you know, for throwing your stuff in there. So anyway, so thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Like I said,
That's crazy, man.
Yep. And I always go straight into those boxes and I just take out what I want.
Oh, for sure. I'd do the same if I was there.
Well, and that's what they're there for. Like they don't like that's the thing. They don't care. Like they're not like, oh, you shouldn't take that. Because the thing is, they're just gonna seriously throw it out into the recycling bin eventually. What isn't taken, so you know, you can just take whatever you want.
Wow.
So, and I actually have a lot of my collection that's come out of those boxes at times.
Oh, I bet.
Let's we have another comment here. There's a Ty has its own Pokemon. You covered that already, I think. Mm-hmm. And then this one was Yaku TV English says, I've watched this video like 6 times out of pure jealousy. We got my LCS has a table and chair ran by some angry old dude. But that's what you want, though. You want the angry old dude, the crusty the card store owner, right? You want to deal with that and walk away and be like, God, that guy was such a douche. You feel like, you know, you buy the product or whatever you need to. You kind of need that experience, or you know, you go into a shop, and I love actually watching other people break. I'm gonna just hang out at the counter and someone else will break, and then sometimes you buy a card they don't know about. So there is that. Right.
Yeah, and we do have like so. Well, actually, right here on my desk, there's there's this place right here called Hobby Korea. Like when you order from them, they actually send you this in the mail when you order from them. It's like a little card guide thing, but yeah. So Hobby Korea, the guys there are super nice. Like we hang out, we talk. Like when I go there, I usually spend about 3 or 4 hours there, and just talking, just to the guys there. So you know, it's like we have the shops where you go in and you hang out and you talk to the guys, and then we have the ones like that where there's nobody there. So you know, it's a little bit of
an automated. I would never think of an automated card store.
But that card store is like it's just crazy. Like I just like you walk in, it's like very synthetic feel for me. I don't know. It just feels like I need that tactile brood store owner or somebody who's, you know, the guy that
Yep.
can't decide his mind on what packs to buy. We've seen that. Ken and I know a couple of guys that will take 2 hours trying to scour the perfect box to buy.
Right.
Um,
Right.
there is that. So, but then again, if you're a total introvert, that would work.
Yep. Yep. And to be quite honest, in the hobby shop, I mean, it's like they're like, "Oh, which box do you want?" And I'm just like, "I don't know, pick me one." Like
Sure.
that's the way I roll. I mean, I'll know what, like, so for example, like I bought a box of Chrome, or not Chrome, Bowman Draft, the light version, hobby light box or whatever. Bought a box of that like a couple of weeks ago, and I knew that I wanted a box of it. And he's like, "So which box do you want? Here are all the boxes." And I was like, "I don't know, just pick one." Like, I was like, "Pick me a good one." And so
Yeah, but as I recall, you did all right, George.
oh yeah, I did okay. I told him, I said, "Pick me a good one." So he pulled them all out and he lined them all up, and he's like looking at them and stuff. And I was like, "Man, I don't care." I was like, "I seriously don't care which one." And he's like, "But this is a lot of pressure." And I was like, "No pressure." I was like, "If it's crap, it's crap. If it's good, it's good." And he handed me one, and yeah, and I did all right. Like I hit the Mayer black and white
Yes.
gray wave refractor. So yeah, paid for my box anyway, and it's actually out to be graded right now. Like
Nice,
here in
nice.
here in Korea. So there's a company. There's a company that encases cards.
Hang on, let me zoom in on you first. There we
So
go.
this right here is encased. So it's not graded. There's no grade on it, but it's got all the identifiers and stuff on it. So it's a company that encases cards. But there's also a new company called BRG that is a grading company. And I sent that card and some others to BRG to be graded. And I'm still waiting. I mean, basically, I think turnaround time is supposed to be like 15 days
Mm-hmm.
to get them back. But we've just come off of the week-long Lunar New Year holiday.
Oh, yes, of course.
That
Yes.
shut everything down for like
Yeah.
a week. So basically, stuff's backed up. Like everything's behind.
So it kind of leads me into my next question, George. So are you more of a raw person or prefer stuff slabbed?
So I used to be more of a raw person. I'm becoming more of a slab person. And I tell you why. It's because I'm actually trying to get my collection down to like very little size.
Yeah.
And so it's like, instead of having just monster boxes of like, cards, then I'm going to have fewer cards if I collect this, because this is going to take up more space. So basically, I want to have fewer cards than what I have now. So by getting slab cards, my space isn't getting any bigger. So that just means that I have to have fewer cards to take up that space if they're slabbed. So I don't know. That's kind of, but like that's just sort of where I've been going with it. I mean, I collect like I'm just moving stuff on my desk. Like I've got cards displayed on my desk here.
Oh, I bet.
So like these are just stacks of like 55 Bowman slabs.
Wow, 55 Bowman.
Because I'm building the 55 Bowman set. So
Are you really? Oh,
yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah,
I wish you all the best on that. That's awesome.
So I'm building the set. There's a Hall of Famer right there, Hoyt Willem. So that's card number 1. That's the first one of the set. So, but yeah, like I'm building, and then I've got a lot of the 55s that are also, there's a Hall of Famer Robin Roberts. There are a lot of them that are ungraded.
Is
So
the 55 Mickey in there too?
I don't have the mantle. I just sent the Willie Mays off to SGC to be graded.
Awesome. Awesome.
Like I've got the I've got the Mays. I've got the Hank Aaron. The Hank Aaron's actually in the US.
That's sweet.
Like once I don't have it here with me, but once it comes in to like Korea, then I'll send it back out. I'll send it back to the US to SGC to grade. There's a Hall of Famer, Enos Slaughter, Eddie Matthews, all right, Richie Ashburn. Like yeah, I keep this on my desk because this is just my set that I'm building over here. So
like, do your students, like, do you ever talk about it with your students? Do they ever like wonder, or are they interested, or do you get them interested? Like, what do you do?
Like, I mean, I've mentioned it, but they just were kind of like, "What the crap is it?" Yeah, no, exactly. Like, so because like sometimes we would talk about like hobbies and stuff that we enjoy doing, and I would mention like, I collect things like sports cards and memorabilia and stuff, and I would show them, and they're just like, okay. They're like, okay, I listen to YouTube, or I listen to like YouTube music or whatever, and I'm like, okay. So it's kind of like there's just that divide. Like, I collect things. They just watch videos on YouTube and TikTok and whatever else. Like that's their hobby, right? So our hobbies are definitely different.
Well, you're immersed in. Are you a K-pop fan?
I mean, I do listen to some of it, but I would like the thing is, I wouldn't label myself as a K-pop fan. Actually, well, you're talking about K-pop.
You're collecting something with K-pop?
No, like so. Here's a former K-popper right here. They have cards. They're actually really nice looking cards. And I'm not collecting them. These were in one of those throwaway boxes at one of the hobby shops. So
I don't know, kind of looks like you're collecting them.
Yeah. Well, no, like so they were in a throwaway box at the hobby shop, and I was just like, those are pretty cool. So I just took the entire stack. Like I just took them because I was like, because I like shiny things. So these are shiny. So I'm thinking like I may get these slabbed because they're shiny and rare. Yep, grab those from the free bin. That's exactly where they came from. Yep. So, but no, she used to be she was a K-pop singer, and I actually know the guy that made this set. So
the guy who made the set. Interesting.
Wow. Yeah, because he actually asked me for some advice when he was doing it. So, like he wanted to know about like about some of the English, like putting some of the English on the cards and stuff. So he asked me about some of that stuff. So yeah, that's actually a pretty cool card. I like that one.
Oh, you got a message here from Tony.
Tony's asking.
He said, if you have the Blackpink Jenny cards, send them my way. I'll pay strong.
That's what I'm talking about. She's all right, man. She's all right. I ate cake and drank coffee with a group of the K-pop girls one time. Under the assumption that I was a reporter for the BBC covering the Olympics, even though that was not true, because I was just in this place that I wasn't supposed to be, which was behind the stage of the concert, and I ended up behind the stage of the concert because I had just walked around the building, and I just went in this door, and well, it was behind the stage of the concert.
Hold on, you went to a K-pop concert, or you just happened to fall into a K-pop concert?
No, I went because it was an Olympics promotional concert. Like it was promoting the Winter Olympics.
Yeah.
And
was this 2018?
Yeah, 2018.
Yeah, okay.
But this concert was like in like 2016 or something. Yeah, it was right after the announcement of the Olympics. And yeah, so I went because it was near where I lived at. And me and my friends, we were just out walking around the building because the concert, it was really crowded and stuff. And so we ended up walking around, and we ended up going in this door, like around on the side of the building, and we're just walking through, and we ended up behind the stage. and it was wintertime. It was wintertime, so it was super cold, and they had heaters all spread out everywhere. So we just went over and just started warming ourselves up by the heaters, And then like the K-pop singers start coming on and off the stage, and like these groups of girls are like coming by, and they're like, and we're like, hey. And then one of them came by and was like, oh, hi. What are you doing? And it's like, oh, well, I'm George. This is Fraser. We work for the BBC. We're here covering the Olympics, and we just make up this story. And at the end, we get invited into this other room, which is like their dressing and rehearsal room. And they're just like, oh, well, here's the spread of food. So we're just eating cake and drinking coffee and stuff and hanging out with them. And we're acting like we're like taking notes on our phone and stuff. But yeah, we weren't reporters. We were just, so
You're in the right place at the wrong time.
Exactly.
So I got to ask you another question that has nothing to do with sports cards, but it's on the back of my head. Mm-hmm. So as an American going to Korea for the first time, what was your experience with soju like?
My experience with it, like, I don't know. I mean, it was sort of like, it tastes okay. It tastes very weak and watery. But at the same time, that's one of the tricky things about it. It is so kind of weak and watery that you just drink a crap load of it, which doesn't end up very well. So, like, for example, you've got your soju, right? And then if you want to go like to the Chinese, the baijiu, which is like it's much stronger. And when you drink that, you're like, ooh, that's rough, It's like a whiskey, but soju is more like a watered down whiskey. It's almost like throwing, a little ice in your vodka and just letting it melt down to where you just got watered down vodka.
Well, to your point, that's why soju is so dangerous. That's to your point.
Yeah, exactly. So, I drank a lot of it this past weekend because me and my friends, we barbecued. We were at this cabin, like in the ski resort area, and we were barbecuing and drinking beer and, having soju and like, but I enjoy it. Like, so.
Let's see. Someone saying he'd rather have, I don't know how to say this.
That's Dan. That's Dan.
Yeah. It's somek. So what it is so comes from soju. Mek comes from mekju, which is beer. So soju, mekju, and that's soju as in liquor, mekju as in beer. So they combine things here in Korea. They make a lot of words like that. So yeah, and it's kind of funny. So Dan says that I'm the exact opposite. Just give me the bottle of the green stuff and just let me drink it. Because the thing is, this is what I found. My worst experiences with soju are when I mix it with beer, because the beer causes me to become so full and so bloated, which causes a bad experience. Whereas the soju itself doesn't really bother me. So, as a result, I just drink, and there he's talking about chicken and beer. So the first part is from the chicken, and the mek is from the mekju, which is beer. So that's how they do things here in Korea. They combine words.
To me, that sounds like they mix chicken in the beer to make a beer flavored chicken.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, well, and they don't just do it for that. Like, they do it for everything. Like, I'm just looking for a card here. Like, I got one here somewhere. Okay, so right here, we know who this is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fernando Tatis Jr.
Yeah.
So in Korea, they call him Tataju.
Tataju?
Yeah, Tataju. Yeah, that's their little nickname for him. So they shorten a lot of things down into like Hangul and mix them up and everything. So you'd be
George Jew?
No, I'm just George. Yeah, the Jew comes from the junior, so that's why they call it Jew, Tata Jew.
Okay.
Because it's like Tatis, so but they're like Tata Jew. So yeah, that's sort of
Interesting.
right.
Sorry, we went way off topic, but I get interested in listening to people from experiences from other places. Let's see. We talked about
You're on the third last question to meet.
Well, good thing you're paying attention because I clearly am not. Well, you kind of touched on this already, but let's talk about the hobby and your experiences over the pandemic, and the good, the bad, the ugly, and just your opinions.
So over the pandemic, I definitely saw a lot more, I don't know, I guess like buying and selling going on here in Korea.
Yeah.
So I think just like everywhere else, I think it spurred a lot more interest because of the money aspect of it. But at the same time, I think a lot of the people haven't stuck around and aren't sticking around. I definitely see it kind of like tapering off. It did cause prices to go up a lot here, and and the prices themselves have, I wouldn't say they've backed off here. Like they're still pretty high, but they're not really going up, right? Everything was just going up, going up, going up. Now stuff's just kind of staying the same or even coming down. So, like Dan said, during the pandemic, EMS shipping. So the express mail. So pre-pandemic, we were able to use first class mail. So like for example, I could send this box of cards first class mail. Like I could send like a first class box. I could send like an envelope, like a bubble mailer, like first class, bubble mailer, things like that. I could send like a box like this to the US for like $8 or $9, packed with cards. I could send a bubble mailer to the US for $3, but now since the pandemic came about, they discontinued like first class mail services. So you can only send express mail. And express mail,
you've been bumped up to the higher version.
Yeah, and express mail like starts at basically $20. So if you wanted to mail one card where you used to be able to do it $3 in a bubble mailer, now it's minimum $20.
That's like us here in the meet with our express
that's
post.
The same. It's the same. I mean, yeah, there's almost no point in shipping single cards that are under $1 out anymore.
Right. Exactly. So it has to be something big, and so as a result, that's that makes things like ComC and stuff really good. But at the same time, during the pandemic, with ComC and their shipping, which was really bad, and their processing as well, because I used to sell a lot on ComC. And I used to buy a lot on ComC. I don't much anymore. And they've adjusted and things are back to normal. So that's actually good. But I just haven't gotten back into that aspect of things yet. And part of it's because of the EMS as well, because like what Dan said and what he brought up. So, I would load up a 300 count box and I would send it to ComC for like $10.
Oh.
Well, now I load up a 300 count box and it cost me $45 to send it.
Yeah.
So it used to cost me $10. Now it costs me $45.
Right.
So there's a big, to be quite honest, it's not even worth it anymore, because by the time I paid the ComC processing fee, $50 to ship it, I'm starting out, $200 in the hole initially. So it's like,
Then there's a comment that basically outside of the hits, there isn't much of a business model in Korea for cards, so not a good career move.
No, exactly.
So you did talk about COMC. Actually, our last question. Ken, before we go to any of our last question, do you have any questions?
No, I think it's been an interesting
You know what we forgot?
show for so far. Go ahead.
We forgot to ask the trivia question to get rid of our book, to give away our book.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe Dan can, not Dan. I keep saying Dan. You know what? Dan might as well have been a guest tonight. George, why don't you ask a question to our viewers, and if they get it right, one of them will get one of these books. So you get to ask a question.
Ask a question to the viewers?
Yes, that they were
paying attention. They had to been paying attention.
They were paying attention to this video. What would you ask that you answered that they should know and get a book?
Man, okay. So what 2 Bob Gibson cards have the same photo on them?
There you go.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Okay, that's question 1. So for those of you listening, and we'll give this a week for people to give answers, right? Sorry, yeah, till give Saturday. We'll give it till Saturday. So book 1 is what the 2 images of the Bob Gibson and that George just asked. And then Kent, what's your question? You had the question before I did.
Yeah. So what is Brian McFarlane doing today in his spare time? What is he doing today in his spare time? If you're watching our video, you'll know what he does during his spare time.
So there you go. So we are going to give away this book. Not only just because we feel like it's a good read and would love to spread the word and have
it's a very good read.
Amazing read. I couldn't get over how much fun it was to read it. Okay, so before we end the night, I want to say thank you to everyone. Before we end the night, I want you to do one thing, George. I want you to say good night to everybody in Korean.
No.
No?
Good night. No. Like when I say good night, I say good night. Like,
okay, well that was kind of anticlimactic. That was kind of having something you would say in Korean. So say something in Korean, just don't swear.
Say something in Korean, but just don't swear.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, what do you want me to say?
Say you are a collector of Hall of Famers and St. Louis Cardinals cards.
저는 MLB 카드. Well, the thing is, all right. So here's the thing. So much of this stuff that we talk about is actually English. So,
really?
So for example, like card is 카드.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they say collector. Like
interesting.
So
really?
So yeah. So there's a lot of Konglish or borrowed words or shared words. So like I was just looking at what Dan was saying. Okay,
he's having fun watching you.
So we will end on give me soju, please.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll teach you that. Soju 한병 주세요. Soju 한병 주세요.
Okay,
or just say soju juseyo. That's just
soju juseyo.
Just give me some soju. So
that seems easier. Soju juseyo. I'll do that.
Yeah. It is easier. But like if you wanted to like get it down to like an account, dubyung, sebyung.
Oh, okay.
That's the different like.
That's where you start getting into trouble.
1 bottle, 2 bottles, 3 bottles. Yeah. So but anyway. But no, awesome. Yeah, but it's so funny. Like we like yeah. So Dan said soju hanbyong juseyo, but yeah, like no, like so my Korean friends like we greet each other and we greet each other with a good morning and a good night. So and there's the emphasis on it because of the Hangul,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, like the romanization or the breakdown of it. But yeah, so anyway.
It's still I'm learning, so I think it was cool. So we ask all our guests this last question. So it's a favorite question we ask on every show, and we ended on this show with this question. Mm-hmm. So is what inspires you?
What inspires me in terms of collecting?
Anything.
Man, when it comes to anything, just life in general, my inspiration just comes from, trying. Oh, we got Guillermo there. That's they're posting us some kind of like bot chat over there. Sorry.
Yeah, bye Guillermo.
but no, what inspires it, man? Just trying to be, go out, try to do good things, try to, enjoy people, enjoy collecting, enjoy relationships. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm a simple person. Like I'm a simple person. I try not to get too involved in drama and things. Doesn't mean that I don't find it entertaining. I find drama entertaining. And I do participate. I can be a bit of a troll sometimes, but that's just me and my personality. But yeah. So.
Well, it's interesting that Jeff Wilson just released a video this week about the drama in the hobby. It's actually, ironically, I've been thinking about it a lot. But it was just interesting because it has hit a crescendo. Anyway, that's just topic for another day and another dollar. But
exactly,
I do appreciate what your participation tonight. This was awesome. I got to learn some things. I can't say I could speak Korean, but I'll try my best.
No worries.
So
well, sorry. I was going to say, I'm actually not the best at speaking. My understanding is excellent. So I many times have conversations where the person is talking to me in Korean and I'm talking to them in English. Like we converse in our native language.
Yeah.
But,
you understand each other. Well, that's the best part.
Yeah. So that's what happens quite often. I often have, like, I was at the doctor the other day. I had to go get a medical checkup. And they're like doing all their stuff and they're just talking to me in Korean. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And I'm just talking back to them in English. And that's just what happens a lot of the times here. So we just understand each other.
Learn new things. I'll have to come back to when you come back to North America, whenever that happens. We'll have to keep in touch. I won't keep in touch with you even in Korea. So
keep in touch with me, man. Like definitely, like interact with me on Twitter or you said you're on Instagram.
I'm on Instagram. Kent does Twitter. I just can't stand Twitter. I don't know what it is about Twitter, but Twitter makes me want to like fly out the window. I just can't stand Twitter.
I'm on Instagram, but my Instagram is just my photography. So it's not cards. Or not like most of it's not cards. Like most of it's just my photography.
Well, I'll definitely. I got to get the Twitter account going and then start following people on that for sure.
Yep.
But hang out there, George. We're gonna say good night to everyone. Yep. Thank you very much for taking an hour and a half out of your day to hang out with us. Thank you for all those that joined. And if you like our content, please subscribe and like, and we'll send some more.
Yes. So good night for the folks here in North America, and good afternoon over there in Asia.
Cheers.
Exactly. All right. See you.